Our next presentation is Crafting Your CX Automation Roadmap for Optimal Customer Engagement. Our speaker is Fang Cheng, CEO and co-founder of Linc. Without further ado, here is Fang.
Thank you so much, John, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. Really pleased to be here. We're here at Linc. We're actually a group of technologists that in our previous lives build products and technology, now are part of Amazon, part of Booking.com. But in the past few years, we've been devoting our total passion into Linc. Linc is the customer experience automation partner for over 100 global leading brands. In our everyday work, we partner with these brands to deliver the best-in-class customer experience throughout their entire customer journey, from pre-purchase, capture the awareness and the intent when the customer just want to learn about the product, all the way to purchase and post-purchase use cases. So the topic of customer experience really has never been more important, right? According to a Accenture Consumer Pulse survey, this survey has been running for over a decade. And a lot didn't change for a while, but all of a sudden in the past few years, the chart about what is the top drivers for customer loyalty to brands has been rather dynamic. Specifically, customer experience has rising now to the #1 spot, right? As the driver for a customer to decide staying with the same brand or switch the brand. Last year alone, 61% of global consumers have decided to buy from a different brand than what they used to after the experience of poor customer service experience. And it's very, very interesting because in the verticals, especially for CPG verticals, right, it's always been the product, the selection, the price points are holding that top spot in driving brand loyalty. But that has changed, right? And it has a lot to do with modern consumers are equipped with all of these technologies that they can quickly access the information, do their research. They're extremely savvy, and their expectations for customer experience has been benchmarked to the best they ever seen, right? So that makes it very challenging for the brands to keep up and compete. But if you can do it right, you also create that tremendous amount of opportunity to outperform your competition and winning over that customer. And amid a lot of the consumer trends, specifically around interaction, how customers discover your brand, how they learn about your brand, how they get to know you beyond using your product has changed a lot. On the right-hand side, we're showing here that over 39% of the U.S. consumers are expecting to use social media to interact with brand. Right? And I want to point out here, like social media is not a new term, but what we say here, the 39%, is not just to follow your brand on Twitter, right? Follow your brand on Facebook. It's actually customers expect to reach out to you on those channels, and they expect you to get back to them rather quickly, within an hour. 44% of them don't have the patience to wait. This is the type of interaction that used to only happen between, our personal life, between a person to a person. Now consumers are expected this type of one-on-one, intimate, and direct interaction with your brand, through channels of their choice. So that's created a very, very interesting dynamic, what shopper marketing means, what customer service means, and so on. So let's look into that. So within the overall retail vertical, our CPG brands has been, to some extent, has not faced the disruption that the rest of retail, fashion, and other verticals has been facing, but now it's coming, right? And with the broader macro trend shifting to focusing on customer, CPG brands, especially in terms of marketing strategy, are also evolving. We see this big shift for marketing strategy to focus on, from that focus on product and price and selection to the marketing strategy that's really focused on that customer. So we talked about a big factor in driving customer experience is, where, which channel, which touch point, and how you are interacting with your customers. So in this diagram, we are kind of highlighting some of the major channels and touch points that a modern consumer uses to find your brand, to learn about your brand, and then to stay in touch with you, right? And 5 to 10 years ago, this map looks much simpler. It was just email, it was just web. Now we're looking at an increasing number of messaging and conversation-oriented channels, from chat, but this is not this live chat. It's also chat through messaging apps like social network, Facebook, Messenger, WhatsApp. Text message is heavily utilized in everyday life now. But we see, interestingly, for even within the text message trend, there is an evolution evolving from just sending notification out to your customer, blast out that service alert or blast out that promo. We see that it's evolving, right? Evolving into interactive two-way conversation on text message channel. Customer will indeed message you back, and they expect you speak back and respond to them in a one-on-one fashion in that channel. Smart speaker devices, Amazon, Google are major players in this vertical, right? So they really has a challenge towards the forefront here for bringing smart services, bring commerce, bring marketing, bring engagement into people's household when someone is not looking at the screen. And this kind of smart speaker devices allows brands to reach out to customer in moments like never before. So we'll talk a lot more about that. So if you're a CPG brand today, when you think about shopper marketing, right, you really need to think about, where and how my brands can be discovered, and what is my conversation strategy with my customers through the channels of their choice. So as a marketer, we think about access. We think about ability to make sure my customers' questions on my product is getting answered, and so they can best convert into that sales, and helping them to make that buying decision. 70% of the marketing dollar spent is about capturing that demand, right? So through the rest of the presentation, we're going to give some very practical tips, advice to help you to craft your own CX automation strategy. So to achieve all of these goals, right, the conventional ways of interacting with customer, which falls into two large categories, right? Either the mass targeting, blast out my message, or bidding on keywords, but still not really interactive with the customer and not really conversational. And or it is conversational, but that's only siloed into my customer service through my customer service agent practice. That's very limiting. That type of experience typically is delivered through call center, email response, and so on. And all of these classical ways for us to engage and interact with the customer is very difficult to adapt into the new world of communication with messaging, with conversational channels being so important for everyday consumer. So automation, to some extent, becomes the must, right? So that's the bread and butter for Linc's business. And every day we're seeing that it's unprecedented surge in demand and urgency to invest in automation. When you look into investing in a CX automation strategy, you need to understand that this is not a strategy for one communication channel, one siloed touch point. And it's also not a strategy for just one particular use case only. Well, in the rest of the conversation, we'll talk quite a bit about some of the learnings when business sometimes confuse the term of CX automation with chatbot, AI buzzwords they may be hearing about that in reality very often delivers a much narrower scope from both channel engagement with customer as well as use case engagement with customer. So we'll really talk about what CX automation done right looks like, and hopefully can contribute to your strategy thinking for what you can do for your brand. Before we get into some more tangible learnings, just a little bit more background of our experience working as CX automation partner for brands. We talked about Linc are partnering with over 100 global leading brands. Many of them are in the CPG verticals, and many of them are also in the verticals that extremely competitive on customer experience, right? From fashion to beauty, lifestyle brands, electronics, home goods, and so on. So we have the privilege to not only make an impact for these businesses that we're serving, but also learn from them, right? And you see the whole spectrum of a brand that's in an extremely competitive lifestyle space where customer experience is really the predominant driver for them to differentiate with a competitor, and all the way to the basic CPG brand where mega brand that already is very well known, but what else they can do to hold on to their leadership in their particular vertical. Overall, our solution is being used to assist over 34 million unique consumers in the US alone. We've been partnering and powering experience across over 170 regions globally now, and have assisted purchase-related assistance alone amounting to now over $18 billion of GMV. So this gives you a sense of like the scale and we've seen, and comes with it the expertise that we've accumulated. Hopefully through today's talk, I can give you some of those to accelerate your thinking in leveraging automation. So before we get into some of the use cases that's very CPG specific, I'd love to share what we can learn from the retail industry that it has been very competitive in customer experience. Right, here are some of the brand's direct quotes that we want to share with you. We have a huge collection of them. But what are the major takeaways, right? Is this emphasize on creating a customer interaction or customer conversation continuity plan. What we say as a customer conversation, these are one-to-one interactions between your brand with your customers. And when you do it right, this type of customer experience can lead to you to grow an organic audience on social network through text message programs, and also all goes back and links back to your primary digital touchpoints such as the web and others. Right? Not only this type of one-to-one conversation can help you to scale on your ability to answer customers' questions. Now, because of automation, you can be there to be discovered by your customer through any of those channels, and 24/7 around the clock. So you will really have the opportunity to leave no customers' questions unanswered, help them to quickly convert into that sales, or have your brand being on top of the mind when you think about the related categories your business is in. But what's really interesting here is that not only this brand has been investing in a customer conversation strategy, are seeing the ability to scale their customer experience from volume perspective, from the time perspective, from channel coverage perspective, And from the perspective of achieving all of this without having to increase their customer service agent spend, or what they call the community management team, right? That watch the social and through person-to-person interaction, engage customer one-on-one. It's very costly, difficult to scale. There's a very immediate cost saving this business are experiencing. But I think most interesting part, maybe especially to marketers, is that impact to the customers' long-term loyalty to your brand. There's multiple measures of direct revenue contribution for investing in this type of customer one-on-one conversation strategy, to sales conversion lift, right, to LTV lift over a period of time that we want to share with you. But maybe to many of you, because the term of automation sounds still new and maybe even a little scary. So let's take a look of a video that give you a flavor of the type of experience that CX automation can enable for your brand. I'm bringing out a video here showing an example of one of our customers in the fashion vertical, right, delivered this automated chat directly to their digital touchpoint on their web, working as a 24/7 always on first responder. You probably get a sense, wow, the chat experience, it's really rich, right? The content are actually directly coming from their marketing cloud and directly coming from their catalog, so you don't have to achieve this level of experience to incur huge, custom development or design overhead. But more importantly, when you do the customer care automation right, you will have the digital assistant can help your customers on a wide array of use cases throughout the customer journey, both pre-purchase and post-purchase. I don't know how well you can sort of view the use cases here, but one of the use case is really around the consultative buying experience. How can you take a flat catalog to a consultative buying experience through multi-turns, right, and conversationally ask the customers about their preference, to color, to style, to other product properties that may be important for them, and guide them through a buying experience that you simply cannot achieve through the standard product search, right? And that kind of experience really contributes to a lift in sales conversion. I'll show some case studies a little bit later. Another thing I want to emphasize is that this is not a one-trick pony bot, right? If you do CX automation right, your brand can offer an assistant sitting not only on your site, on your social, on your text messages, as one, and helping customers even on their loyalty program issues, reward program issues. And we've showed in this demo is ability to guide your customers where to find your product in local store, understanding exactly where customers are located, and help them to navigate to the store, check inventory, and then even goes to high fidelity use cases such as order assistance, which typically requires another layer of authentication, right, for customer privacy and security purpose. And our type of CX automation solution will have this type of marquee vehicles you need for authentication, for consultative buying, all built into the platform. So out of box, you can see over 85% of your entire customer interactions become automated. That doesn't have to go to your community manager anymore, doesn't have to go to your customer service agent anymore. And that's a beautiful thing, because now your community managers, your people investment can actually be focused on helping customers on those complex and emotional use cases. Again, CX automation, when you do it right, all of this experience, that automated response can work seamlessly with your agent-facing system. We'll talk about that through a case study a little bit later also. So we only have the time in this talk to give you that one interactive demo, if you may say, for the web part of the experience. But we talked a lot about it's not about one channel, one touch point. It's about being where your customers are, whichever channel they like to interact with you. So CX automation done right, it looks like this from channel perspective, right? So the same bot, the same assistant representing your brand can sit across social networks, that means Facebook Messenger, WhatsApp, which is very important for your APAC strategy or certain regions in Europe, Australia, WhatsApp is even more popular than Facebook Messenger. And voice-enabled devices, right? And text messaging two-way. I want to briefly touch on some of the emerging platforms from Apple Business Messaging to Google Business Messaging. Google Business Messaging particularly can be very interesting for CPG brands because this is no longer just about where your customer find you. They already land on your site or they already come to your account on social and then interact with you. This is about at the intent level and the awareness level. They're just simply searching either about your brand name or about related categories where your brand populating up in the search results. You're all very familiar with having a call button or some other link to your website in that search results, right? Now, through a new program by Google where Linc is a very early premier partner on, it's called Google Business Messaging. It can bring a direct messaging experience into that search results, right? And your customer can talk to you one-on-one. and just a marketer's dream to be able to say something and we're here from your customer at the moment they're simply thinking about you from search intent perspective. And getting your brand onto all of this channel, can you do that? Can you do that through a single solution that scales so you don't have to think about, finding different partners and work just to simply react to this ever-evolving landscape of consumer communication? And can you do this and linking the customer profile together, still have that customer 360 view? This is what we mean. You need to think about all of this as you construct your CX automation strategy. And the answer is yes to all of them. And you can achieve that with the right partner. Here are some of the results you can expect when you start to sort of investing in CX automation. To some extent, this industry has so much buzzwords, has been so hyped, right? With many of you probably familiar with chatbot buzzwords and so on. And you may have formed an impression that, I've heard a lot about them, but very few. Very rarely I see there's an ROI attached to it, right? What we want to show you here in Linc's partnership with this large array of leading brands, we're able to consistently deliver measurable results. Here's one example of some consolidated results from D2C brands that very quickly, within 2 quarters following their launch of a CX strategy, they see an increase that they can directly measure in their ability to engage customers one-on-one through channel. Q1, Q2, 64% increase in customer conversations. And they see that direct linkage to customer sentiment. Customer indeed get happier. This is not just about your ability to scale, your ability to control cost, your ability to drive and deliver the best customer satisfaction. And this can directly associate to top line revenue, your top line of your business. And when you do this right, we found that it's so exciting to see that over 60% of customers' inquiries are actually at the pre-purchase phase. They simply want to find something, want to learn about something, making that decision to buy, and think about conversation capability really enables the customer get their questions answered and convert better. And finally, convenience. 24/7 in the channels I love in real time. These are huge values modern consumers appreciate when they say, what is a good customer experience. Now let's tie back to a few use cases. Again, let's learn from the very competitive consumer verticals that has been investing in D2C for some time now, right? In this very specific example, iconic fashion brand historically has been doing wholesale, but recent years started to invest in D2C. When they invest in D2C, they realize that it's not just about having an e-commerce site, having the basics. It's really about differentiation that's already being priced in their vertical as a norm, right? So how can I differentiate from my competitor, go above and beyond and connecting to my customer? They actually tried out other chatbot innovation projects before they come to Linc. They found that it was difficult to scale. The bot may raise more questions than it can answer for the customer. So they came to Linc for that to upgrade their experience. Very quickly, we launched for this customer across the web, social, voice-enabled devices, and put them at the very forefront to be everywhere their customer wants to be. But what's exciting to see is that they are able to achieve a really astonishing 92% CX automation through a single solution that Linc provides to them. The directly measurable savings they have for their agent team for supporting customers or responding to social, that amount to over $2 million per year for a business with $200 million of D2C e-commerce business, right? And the contextual selling has proven to deliver measurable revenue results. In addition, they are indeed one of the players seeing over 60% of the customer assistance being pre-purchase related. But now let's tie back to what the audience, the space our audience really plays in for these events, right? Many of you are leading brands in CPG verticals because your fantastic product, your long investment, right, in understanding your categories, your customers, but now customer conversation create new opportunities for shopper marketing. These are some concrete examples that CPG brands who don't sell D2C yet can also leverage CX automation for. We talked about offering a consultative buying experience, not only just on your site, maybe get into the search results through Google Business Messaging and other messaging vehicles you have, making sure customers' questions about your product never goes unanswered, right? And then customer care. Customer care tied to CPG doesn't sell directly, maybe less transaction focused or purchase focused, but are more focused around your reward program, right? Many of you offer direct customer reward program, but it may be a little clunky to use or hard to understand. So this is an area you can truly go beyond just put out a FAQ page to help you or customer understand your program, put out a web form for them to sign up. Now they can get a conversational assistance, sign up easily, get push notifications around you reach new milestones, or there's a cashback you can use. If you don't use, you can expire. Where should I buy this particular new product that's still a limited edition? What is my local stores you can refer me to, and I can find this product on the shelf, right? And all the way to tapping into moments in your customer's life that's relevant for your vertical, but maybe conventional paid marketing on search, on social, just simply cannot reach. We'll talk about that, right? Like conversational channels through some of these devices and really open up a new horizon there. So, but when you think about this, I really hope to leave you with some practical tips on how you can craft your own CX automation strategy. When you think about this, you really need to think about this two-dimensional grid, right? On the y-axis, visualize that's kind of the channels for your very customer base. On the x-axis, throughout their journey in the major phases from awareness to discover to buy, to stay informed, to get help if they need, and pin down and write down those major moments or use cases from the point of view of your customer, right? And then start thinking about what CX automation, what conversation applies. It's not addressing everything, I have to say, but you need to see it as part of the integrated, holistic marketing strategy that you have for your brand. With that in mind, you can think about the type of outcome and KPIs you're chasing after. That'd be all about the reach, increasing the reach, increasing our ability to reach out to the new moments particularly. Or to say our CIO really and have major projects, we need to increase our ability to hear from a customer, to leverage that first-party insights to build a better product, build a better messaging with our customer, right? And all of this you can expect to gain by leveraging automation in your overall strategy. One of the angle, really, we talked a couple times now, is about reaching new moments, right? And we talked about how messaging creates these on-the-go moments. That be text message or social. That's extremely important. You can hear your customer one-on-one. You can reach out to them even when they are not in front of the screen. You can get their attention. If you're in the food space, in consumable goods space, very often the spending need, right, is realized when your customer is living their life in their house, driving their cars, right? Technology allowed you now through automated conversation capability to offering app and to show up to be accessible now when the customer is living their life in their home, in an environment they're not in front of a computer or phone. And you can capture their intent. CX automation done right, it allows your response to be highly contextual, right? You know what the customer is here for. You can hear them. And you can even help them for the services you have. Even going beyond just helping them on those, simply just the insight to be able to hear a customer will give you that competitive advantage. Add value for your customer. Modern consumers, we live the life balancing work and a busy life and ever more hectic to some extent. We appreciate convenience. We appreciate brands' flexibility to help us when I need it through the channel I want. And this is what the CX automation is for from another angle. But lastly, all of this we talked about how you can use them in your digital channels. It's not just about that. You also can bring it all the way to physical retail, to your product packaging. Many of the brands has experienced already. Product packaging in the old way, it's so limiting. There's limited space, there's limited format where I can and show customer what my product is all about. And scan to learn about the product, scan to find out the richer content about our product has been used to drive customer experience, customer engagement. Now you can layer on top of that with a conversational experience to make that even more engaging. Scan to chat. So again, all about leaving no customer questions unanswered. Let's look at a few successful cases, shall we? And then we're going to finish up and taking some questions. Chompers is becoming a very popular skill on Alexa, on Google, that you can find out. I really encourage you to try it out. Right? P&G's oral care brand see that unmet need in their customer base for parents to help their kids to forming that healthy habit. This is not about their selling their customer the product directly, but it's really about capturing the same audience that will buy their product as value for them. They were able to leverage the skill, build up a very engaged customer base that uses the app on a daily basis. Another customer of ours is really a leading CPG brand in the baby care space, and are seeing this similar mindset and opportunity to tap into this online needs of their customer vertical. They found that potty training for first-time parents can be super confusing, right? But if people are thinking about potty training, these are the customers who will buy their product for their training pants. So they create a potty training tip, a skill for the parents to get tips and gain those knowledges, but also for the children to be directly engaged, playing games and celebrate a successful potty. And they found over 70% of their customer, after they discover the skill organically, they are able to use the skill multiple times per week, become that habit-forming application. And they gained valuable insights into first-party data they can't even buy before they launch this initiative, right? These are audiences that they directly own, right? They can hear them, they can speak back to them, even though they're not there to directly selling their product. Their brands become top of their customers' mind through this initiative. So we're very excited to see that indeed within CPG vertical, customer conversation created the new opportunity for shopper marketing. And with that, I want to thank everyone for joining me on this session. And I want to leave with you my contact information, and I really hope our conversation doesn't stop here. We also have a fantastic ebook that gives you more practical guidance on how you can apply an automation first strategy into your overall marketing strategy. And thank you so much. I'd love to answer some questions now. So I'm seeing the questions here.
Yes. Can you hear me, Fang? Can you hear me, Fang?
Yes, John. I
Okay.
can hear you well.
All right. I think I muted out for a moment here. How do CX automation strategies impact B2B conversations and satisfaction?
Another great point, right? So one interesting trend that you're seeing in the B2B world is that even in the enterprise world, even your customers are business stakeholders, there is a macro trend of consumerization, right? For at work, a lot of these business stakeholders making buying decisions are also using messaging, using platforms like that to make their work easier. So many of the trends we talked about in terms of reaching customers in the channel they want also applies into B2B world. And when you talk about B2B world, the use case can be even more high value. It may be less volume than the B2C world, but the value to what you can leverage automation do, especially when you've done CX automation right and helping customers to understand a contract, help customers to understand your complex pricing strategy, right? Making what if they show up to learn about your product and they're being heard, their question can be answered, and then direct that qualified leads, right, into your CRM channel where your team that manages those accounts and engage those prospects can get context passed to them through the automated response when they do need to hand over. These are all areas you can bring automation to increase customer satisfaction and also make your sales team, your customer service team just much more effective.
Okay, another question. How do you factor in the ability to provide these benefits to consumers who are less comfortable in English?
Fantastic question. Your brands, I'm sure your brands are not speaking just English, right? So you don't want your automated assistant to speak just English either. So I forgot to mention that in fact today we are powering experiences across 170 regions globally, and most of the brands we partner with are indeed global brands. So when CX automation done right, you actually can build and design about in one language and then deploy it to over 100 languages globally, and that's indeed what we do, right? So you won't speak the local language that local consumer is in, but I want to touch on it's not actually just about the language. When you have a global business, you will find that region by region, beyond the language part, your service policy can be different, your catalog are different, your offering can be different from region to region. And you have to have a automation architecture that allows you to have this global account, but then region by region, you create that regional account that data feed is localized, the policy configuration is localized, and in addition to speak that local language. So all of that is something we can help you with in one solution, so going beyond just localize that language. But a fantastic question. Thank you for raising.
Sure. As a follow-up to that question, have you seen any U.S. businesses implement a multi-language effort?
Absolutely. So in the U.S., we have seen U.S. businesses implement multi-language globally for their different regions, right? French in Germany and so on. But we also see, for example, in North America, if you go to Canada, you have to speak 2 languages, right? In one assistant, because both French and English are official languages, consumer expect them. And if you're in social media, that's extremely important to be able to detect what customers are saying. You may have a global account in social media for your brand, right? And then customer can reach out to that single Facebook account through different regions. And in those networks, we can detect the language code of that customer. And we also can detect the region, default region for that customer, and therefore respond in the language of their preference, right? So the language detection capability is a key factor there as well.
Okay, well, that's all the time we have, Fang. Thank you very much. That was excellent. For more information about this topic, you can contact Fang directly. Her contact info is on the screen right now. And again, thank you very much.
Thank you.